Welcome to our episode. This is a brand new um, series we're working out. I've got John Dahlman here with me. I'd like to introduce him. He is an excellent bass player and has been playing in the Baltimore, D.C. area for a long time.
Since the 70s.
Since the 70s. And you've been playing bass since you were like 4 or something, right?
Yeah.
And that's why your hand can kind of like do that.
Yeah, that's why I'm stuck there. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Bass, cello, piano. I started studying all of it.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
So,
You also do electronics
I
work,
do.
right?
Mhm.
And cables.
Yeah, I have a company called Instrument Audio. We specialize in really high quality cables. Some point I can fill you in if you're actually interested, but I obsess about all the details, and I found a manufacturer that makes really great wire that I can get to make custom cables.
Awesome. And I use them too. Actually, one of the first gigs that I played with John, he said, "Hey, here's a cable. Try this out, see if you like it." And so I have purchased them since then, and they're excellent. They've held up. That was many, many years ago.
Yeah.
So awesome. And I can put your information right
Mhm.
into the description so
Okay.
folks can get right into contact
Mm-hmm.
with you. So part of this series is going to be just kind of like what have we been listening to or checking out in the past week and stuff like that. Personally, I've been checking out a little bit of Al Di Meola because he just kind of put some videos of him
Mhm.
rehearsing stuff before his show.
Right.
I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And he plays with a pick on a nylon string, and I'm just like, wow, okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
It's Al's sound, and it is a cool sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was checking one of Rick Beato. Are you familiar with
Mhm.
Rick Beato?
Yeah.
So checking out one of his interviews with him. I think he actually goes to Al Di Meola's house and hangs out with him, and it's really cool. You should check that out because he talks about a lot of things that I try to convey to folks, which is learn alternate picking and keep a steady pulse. And
Yeah.
tap your foot.
Yeah.
So how about you? What have you been checking out?
Oh, let's see. Richard Bona has a new album out.
Okay.
Was the title of which I cannot remember, but everything Richard Bona is worth listening to.
Okay.
Period.
Is he singing and playing solo, or is it
No,
kind
it's
of like an ensemble
with
thing?
an ensemble
Nice.
thing. He's been doing a lot of sort of Afro-Cuban
Mhm.
stuff. Really, he is African.
Yeah.
He loves Cuban style and Caribbean style music, so he's really bringing those two together, kind of in ways you haven't heard before. And
Okay.
but his playing is so gorgeous. His singing is ridiculous.
Yeah.
and-
He's amazing.
yeah, and his compositions are stunning. So
Right.
yes, I've been listening to that. Sort of put title on surprise me mode, and
Okay.
I keep finding, some really really cool stuff. But that
Nice.
and Pat Metheny's new album hit yesterday.
Right. So he's doing an album of himself
Yeah.
doing his own, well, obviously doing his own compositions.
I was actually doing some electronics last night, and I just played the entire album, and it really is gorgeous.
Nice.
It's
Awesome.
it's not fast screaming,
Yeah.
or it's just Metheny being really pretty.
Wow. Awesome. I haven't listened to it yet, but I have seen the video of Matheny talking it up and all that. So is it solo guitar? Is that
Yeah,
the
and
deal?
he's kind of overdubbing himself in places. He could be looping himself. I haven't dug into it enough because
Okay.
it's so new.
Yeah.
Literally yesterday.
Yeah.
It showed up. So, yeah, whatever he's doing.
That's awesome.
Is-
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
And Richard Bona has played with Matheny, of course.
Yeah.
So I've really enjoyed some of their trio
Mhm.
recordings and stuff. So check that out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, yeah, that's, and there's, of course, new stuff. There's an artist called Lawrence.
Okay.
way cool, very funky stuff.
Yeah.
And then as we had on our list, Corey Wong.
Okay. Right. Right. Yeah.
I haven't heard Corey Wong do anything I don't like.
Okay.
Very cool playing.
Nice.
And amazing arranging.
Awesome. And you're saying he mixes and masters his own?
Yeah, he seems to
too?
do a lot of his own mixing and mastering. I think stuff he's done with WDR or Metropole Orchestra is fantastic. But then he's got his band, the Wong Notes, and then he's got this the Fearless Flyers, and
That's a
then
very clever
Wolfpack.
name. That's cool. The Wong Notes.
Yeah, Corey Wong and the Wong Notes. That's I'm actually jealous
They're
of
playing
that
the
band name.
wrong notes.
Yeah.
Wong notes. That's cool.
And he's got a lot of bunch of the horn players from the band The Hunter Tones,
Okay.
another band worth finding.
Yeah.
Way cool band.
Awesome. Awesome. So speaking of mixing and mastering, so I've been trying to learn that myself over the years, especially with this YouTube channel. So getting into some digital stuff. I've been using Isotope a little bit to help me, honestly, just to help me get there without me having huge amount of engineering.
Yeah, you're using
sound
the
engineering.
RX.
Yeah,
Stuff, yeah.
RX and the Ozone. I played around with some of the mixing things, but I found that mixing, I feel like at this point, I'm feeling pretty comfortable on getting a fairly valid mix
Right.
on my own. But yeah, that's something that, like I like to hear a lot of drums. So that's when I go to record and put something and I'll test it out on my phone or something, and all I hear is cymbals, and it's like,
Right.
okay, so anyway, those are some of the challenges I think that software can really help you with, is just mixing and mastering and
Yeah,
putting it
I
all
mean,
together.
especially the Isotope stuff
Mhm.
is so ridiculously good. I've used it for voiceover stuff.
Okay.
And I just go straight for the preset that says NPR male voice, and then
Yeah,
tweak
I've
it.
seen that, yeah.
And
Yep.
it's great. It gives me exactly what I'm after.
Yeah.
I've done it for when I remote record for people.
Uh,
Unless they ask me not to, I will always end up running it through Isotope.
yeah.
Kind of the mastering section,
Yeah.
just to make sure levels are cool, compression is cool,
Yeah.
nothing is jumping on the EQ.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing I've kind of found that I want to try to avoid, as far as some things that I've seen on YouTube, is that when you have instruments that all sit together nicely and it sounds like they're present in the room all at one time, and nothing's like jumping up, doesn't sound like somebody turned a speaker on in a room with iReal Pro and started jamming along with it, which is totally fine.
Yeah,
That's
perfectly valid thing
yeah,
to
perfectly
do.
valid
But
thing to do. But just having something that really sits. So that's been one of my goals, is to create like kind of CD quality, something that could be released on a CD or
Sure.
something like that. Not that we use CDs anymore, but
right. Yeah, but yeah, using things like the mastering compressor to kind of glue it.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
actually call it a glue compressor.
yeah, exactly.
Little bit of room reverb, things that tie
Tie it together.
everything that ties it together.
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
keeps it good.
Yeah. So how about gear kind of stuff?
I am perpetually looking at gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, the JHS pedals we were talking about earlier. JHS pedals has a new version of the color box. JHS people, I want one. I want the version 2.
Yeah. Send us one out, and we
yeah.
will demo it for you.
Yeah, that is a just fantastically good piece of gear.
Okay.
You and I both used a ton of radial.
Yeah. So I find that they're great utility, high quality, rugged gear.
Yeah.
So I've got some switchers, just kind of practical little switchers, direct box. I have one that is specifically geared for, I think, guitar, and messing around with how So if you have a buffered signal,
Mhm.
you kind of take away, and John's going to probably correct me on this when I say things that are blatantly wrong, but your signal will interact with your pickup somehow, and it'll create different sort of tonal variations on it. So you can take a buffered signal that sort of emulates a little bit of what's happening
Yeah,
there.
I think they call it the drag
Drag.
study.
exactly
Yeah, and
it.
that's
That's exactly it.
how your instrument reacts when you're playing into a real physical amp.
Yeah.
And a Marshall interacts with a guitar one way, and it's how it loads the pickups and all this stuff. Yeah, super useful thing for guitar players.
Yeah.
Is that control. I've seen guys who take out the big ones, like 8-channel
Right.
units, and it's a guitar switcher, and every single one of them has a drag control, which is, if you're a touring musician,
Yeah.
this is perfect.
Yeah, and I've had some wireless setups where I had to be out on stage with dancers, moving around, and then, if you have that kind of, so you can dial in a sound that's familiar to you, just plugged in directly into your amp,
Right.
then you can still have that wireless, and you're standing independent of the cables.
Yeah. It's, and like I say, I'm playing through a Radial Tone Bone, a bass bone, version 1 that I have had maybe 20 years at this point.
Okay.
It's been to Europe. It's been all over up and down the East Coast. Done I don't know how many thousands of gigs.
And it's still holding up.
It's beautiful. I've been through 2 power supplies.
Okay. So the power supplies will go
and
before
it's actually the cable to the power supply. Whereas where even this one I've patched.
Okay. Yeah.
That happens. But other than that, the thing's bulletproof.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So, and actually the Radial Firefly DI is way up on my list.
Yeah, I've been to this segment of the website with that. It's like yellow, right?
Yeah,
Yellow,
and
black. That looks pretty cool.
It's a tube DI that has like input switching and stuff.
Yeah.
You could pretty much just take that and your instrument and a good sound guy, you're done.
Right. And that's it.
That's it. So, yeah, I mean,
That's cool.
I think weekly we'll have to dig into other gear because there's just so much.
There's just so much. That's an exciting part of what we have in store, for this. I think that would be really awesome just to talk about gear. I mean, that could be its own show thing and things like that. So, let's see, we're going to mention kind of what to bring to a gig.
Well, for a guitar player, what do you bring?
Obviously, I need a, well, maybe it's not obvious, but I need a speaker cabinet, an amplifier, which could happen as a combo or separate. I like to have them separate. But if you have them separate, you can kind of put, like some people are using the pedal board little thing, so you can have something where you can easily access your amp, and then you can put the speaker kind of somewhere else.
Right.
So that's one advantage with that. Also, you could switch out maybe, like I find that I have one amp that maybe I'm pushing too hard. I can maybe switch to a different one after a set break. And so those are just little things. I found one amp in particular that during the second set, everything just feels really saturated. And it doesn't feel as crisp. But that's another thing about playing a gig is sometimes your ears, you're just like, your first tune, you're like, okay, this is kind of like good tone. And then your tone is probably going to remain the same. And then but your ears are all getting hit with so many different things.
Ears get tired, high frequencies start to roll off.
It could just be that as well.
Yeah. But if you're young, protect your hearing, please.
Right. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with earplugs.
And you can get them custom.
You can get custom fit, but even like Heroes make some really, $20-$30 earplugs that will save your hearing.
Right.
And because you can't get it back.
Yeah.
That's why I tell students all the time is you can, once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's either take care of your ears or learn sign language.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
It's just,
Absolutely. Yeah. And then playing with big bands, it's incredibly hard to compete volume wise with all that sound.
yeah,
So I find that I'm really cranking the amp, trying to get a clean tone, trying
right.
to crank the amp, trying not to make the sax player that sits next to me as upset as he normally is.
Right.
The last time I saw it.
Yeah.
Because
it's-
when you have to play, when I know when I play that certain parts, if it's like a rock part, like I could see in the corner of my eye, he's not happy.
no, no.
So what to do about that, I'm not really sure. I was thinking about bringing my little hangover, or hang over the top Sennheiser microphone, and then just asking the band director to
Yeah.
pipe that into the
Just
PA.
going to the PA, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Probably because when you're playing with a big band, especially playing newer compositions like the Gordon Goodwin stuff and stuff.
Yeah.
These bands are cranking. You're an 18 or 20 piece band.
Yeah.
God, it's loud.
It's so loud.
It's fun, but
Yeah.
but it's loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can go into the PA,
Yeah.
that's keys, guitar, bass. They rarely want to put in the PA because they're not bringing a PA big enough to handle the low frequency stuff.
Right.
So I use QSC K12
Mhm.
speakers. One if I want to be heard, two if I really want to be heard.
Right.
And on a big band, I've actually set that up so one between me and the drummer, and then one firing down the line of horn players, seeing if I can irritate the trumpet player at the far end. Which I have achieved actually, which was pretty cool.
Nice.
But I found out that horn players, it turns out, in a big band, listen to the bass player.
Right. So I hear, and the one big band that I'm playing, you subbed one time, but the regular bassist, I hear complaints that the horns can't hear or the trumpets can't hear it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's partly, I think, just because the speaker is just directional.
Yeah. The high frequency stuff, high frequencies get more directional.
Right.
And most guys are not carrying enough firepower
Mhm.
to deal with that kind of a situation.
Right.
So you need, and it's not just about watts, it's efficiency of the speaker. And we can, that's a whole other episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to make sure that you are literally carrying enough firepower with you to be heard.
Yeah, and then also finding where your frequencies land. If you're playing guitar, to try to maybe get some of those mids, and then try to cut some of the problematic mids, so that you just find your space in the spectrum of that sound.
Yeah. Same for bass players. As in the previous episode you and I did, that if people want to sign up, they can.
Yeah.
We talk about one of the things I do is I find myself cutting low end on gigs,
Okay.
especially if it's a hollow stage,
Right.
because that stage is going to resonate with kick drum, guaranteed.
Right.
I need to stay out of that.
Right.
And so if I'm cutting it off, at least the lowest usually is at 32 hertz.
Okay.
So my low B. Sometimes I'm rolling it off heading towards 50.
Okay.
I'm still getting plenty of low end from room gain.
Right.
I'm taking a lot of weight off the amp.
Right.
The amp can work better because it doesn't have to produce all that stuff.
Right.
Still a nice full sound. Everybody can hear me. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. And then a lot of those frequencies human ears can't even hear beyond a certain level. Right?
Yeah, and it just turns to mush.
So much in this.
If you talk to touring upright players especially, they love preamps that have a variable high pass filter.
Okay. Yeah.
So when the room starts to go boom, you just start
doing that.
taking it up until that goes away. So you're not triggering that. You're still going to get plenty of low end.
Yeah.
You're just not activating all that muddiness
Right.
in the room.
And something we talked a little bit about last time is that the stage sound can be a lot different than the actual sound in the room.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. If you can have somebody whose ears you trust go out front
Mhm.
and tell you how it sounds,
Yeah,
that's the most helpful thing.
right,
You know,
right.
other than that, just cross your fingers and rely on your experience.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Cool.
um,
So, let's see. We talked about some albums. We talked about
mhm.
musicians, some gear, um, books and instructional, real quick, and
Yeah.
then we'll maybe call it.
Yeah,
Call
we
it.
can do that. What
Yeah.
have you found for your students?
Well, I have a lot of my students working through through basic instructional
Mhm.
books, like method books, or some of the classical things like Christopher Parkening.
Mhm.
If you think about some of the jazz musicians, there's been at least just some familiarity with some of the classical, repertoire, especially pianists. I
Yeah.
think, but you'll even hear Joe Pass talking about. I think he mentions trying to work through the Carcassi method and things like that. So I think he's pretty funny at all those
That'll
videos.
make you scream. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So bassists often work with the Samandal book.
Mhm.
So a lot of times it's the fundamental kind of things. But yeah, I'll have to keep in mind a new book for next time. I found the Harmony of Bill Evans is kind of cool.
Oh, really?
Working with like secondary dominance
Mm.
and stuff like that. So
Cool.
understand that. How about you?
Sounds fun.
Anything in
Well,
particular?
I'm a fan of Ariane Cap's bass books,
Okay.
and she also has a bass blog that is way cool. Subscribe,
Yeah.
but the books are really terrific. She goes through theory and play. There's just a lot of information that is really useful for bass players. How to
Right.
get around on the neck, how to, what you're dealing with harmonically and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So it is kind of general instruction,
Hmm.
but it's not. It's really useful.
Yeah.
It's my favorite kind of book where you can work through parts of it and I go, oh, I can use that. I can use that on tomorrow's church gig or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
That and Miss Cap is a lovely person. I met her at a Gerald Beasley event and fantastic person. But
Awesome.
check her books.
Awesome.
Definitely worth looking at.
Great. Thanks for that. So today, I don't think we're going to do a whole lot of playing, but we may add that in to our future things. Just kind of
Yeah.
do some little jams and stuff, and keep it, sort of thinking about how folks might approach bass lines and comping and
Mhm.
improvisation. So
Yeah, and working in a duet.
yeah, working in a duet. Yeah.
This is something not a lot of people get to do, but it is cool.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So, so this has been a great hang. Thanks, John,
Oh.
for coming by, and
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. And don't forget to check out John's cable. So I'll have information on that in the description below, and you can also send repairs to him. I think maybe on this part of the channel, but I think in the member area too, we might talk a little bit more and about just how to upkeep your instrument. We were talking a little
Yeah.
bit about that. And
Yeah,
everything, so,
yeah, basic repair and maintenance and
yeah.
stuff you got to look for over the course of a year.
Right. Absolutely. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great practice session. See you in the next one.
See you next time.